Hello and welcome to this big NDTV exclusive. The Maharashtra thriller has upended Indian politics in just the course of 1 month, and the man who's at the center of it is the NCP leader Sharad Pawar, who joins us here for this exclusive interview, the first time that you're speaking to a national channel after this entire drama played out. Thank you very much indeed, Pawar Sahab, for talking to NDTV. It has to be said that a lot of your critics and rivals had written you off before this election, but you have come roaring back and proved once again that you should never write off anybody in Indian politics. But Mr. Pawar, if I can just, because this is the first time that we're getting to talk to you since all of this unfolded, if we can just go back a little to the beginning. After the Maharashtra results came out, the BJP-Sena had the majority, but then they started fighting with each other. At which point did you enter the picture? Did the Sena reach out to you, or did you reach out to the Sena?
You see, to be frank, after the Vidhan Sabha election result, I made our position absolutely clear publicly that the number which we got, we means NCP and Congress, is not sufficient to form government. Right. And that's why we have taken conscious decision to sit in the opposition. And we will provide an effective opposition and try to work in the state legislature, in the state.
Okay. You decided to sit in the opposition at that point. Okay. Then what changed?
We saw, in fact, we never thought also that we will be able to form government or this or that. But after, of course, we are keeping close eye what is happening in the state. But after initial 1 week or 10 days, our observation that there was some serious differences between BJP and Shiv Sena.
Right.
And there was some understanding between both of them. And what we read in the media, that understanding was not honored, and that's why Shiv Sena was getting perturbed, very unhappy day by day.
Right.
But one day we saw the public statement or public accusation from Shiv Sena side to BJP state leadership.
Right.
And then we thought initially this might be because of some of the promises are not fulfilled, and that's why it is happening. So we are watching.
Okay.
But ultimately we come to that conclusion, it's not just complaint, but ultimately they have practically made up their decision from both sides
To break. And then that's my question to you. At that point, did you reach out to the Shiv Sena, or did they approach you?
Of course, you see, one of the members of parliament from Shiv Sena, Mr. Raut,
Sanjay Raut.
We, of course, both of us working in the Rajya Sabha. So on a number of occasions we meet, we discuss. Their approach was something different, our approach was something different, but personal equation was very much there.
Okay.
And one of the discussion, I realized that the Sena seems to be very unhappy because the commitment made to the Shiv Sena is not fulfilled.
Right.
That is a complaint of the Shiv Sena, what we heard from Mr. Sanjay Raut.
Okay, that 50-50 rotating chief ministership. So it was basically those conversations that you were having with Sanjay Raut, who you already knew from a long time and you had a relationship with. That's what led to the beginning of your discussions with the Sena, as being able to support them.
Because then that conversation looks like that he must have communicated to his leader, and they came back. If this is continued like this, BJP is not going to honor their commitment. Their mood was to go to extreme level, extreme position.
But I just wanted to to check one thing with you, that this entire discussion you had with the Shiv Sena, this was only after the election. Was there any conversations you had with Uddhav Thackeray before the election?
No.
That in the event this would happen, you may break with them?
We never thought also.
Actually, you never thought?
Yeah, we never thought also.
Because there was one suspicion that you and the Sena were in talks even before the election. No.
Not before.
It all happened afterwards.
We were fighting, in fact. We fought against Sena and BJP in last election.
Yes, you did.
And that's why there was no question of any association dialogue with Shiv Sena or BJP prior to Lok Sabha, Vidhan Sabha election.
So then tell me, Pawar Sahab, what happened next? Because here you were then in negotiations with the Shiv Sena. It appeared that all three of you were coming together. And then suddenly you had that midnight coup where Ajit Pawar then gets sworn in with Devendra Fadnavis. Now, is that something which you had any inkling of?
We are not at all, we never expect that Mr. Ajit Pawar will act like this. But there is some background.
Okay.
And there the Shiv Sena doesn't come in picture or BJP doesn't come in picture. Initially, Congress and NCP leaders were sitting together for some common program. What should be our approach? Suppose we have to go with Shiv Sena. What should be our attitude to vis-a-vis Shiv Sena? Then what program we should adopt?
Right.
And there was a continuous discussion between us.
Right.
We met in Mumbai, we sat in Chavan Center, we sat in Nehru Center. In one of the meetings in Nehru Center, myself and the Congress national leadership who was present there, their general secretaries, had some heated discussion between me and them on certain issues.
Okay.
And there, practically, we have reached to that stage, at least we means me, it's better not to associate with this discussion, let my other colleagues should do that discussion in my absence.
Oh, I see. It had reached almost that stage.
I said, all right, my other colleagues and Congress leaders will sit together, they will take decision, whatever they will take decision, we should support and follow, but I should not directly involve in the process of discussion and negotiation.
Okay.
So, there was some unfortunate incident between both of us. And I was about to leave, and I ultimately left. But my senior other colleague, Mr. Praful Patel and others, they requested me, we'll manage the negotiation, you keep away, we'll brief you afterward. And both of them sat together, Congress and NCP state leadership, other than me.
Sat and then continued to talk.
So there, that heated discussion between us, Mr. Ajit Pawar was very, very unhappy. He left the meeting and he just told some of my colleagues, I don't understand how we are going to work. He said that he's thinking, he told some of my colleagues, it looks like very difficult to work in this combination.
I see. Is it possible to ask you what was the issue on which you had this heated
No,
discussion?
that I cannot say. But I can tell you about the. We were insisting the strength-wise, NCP was a better strength, better position as against Congress. But there, certain expectation from other side was not reasonable. That was our impression.
Okay, so it was basically a tussle over power sharing as to who would get what, but that led Ajit Pawar to walk out.
See,
Or he got upset and he felt this was not going to work.
because some of the Congress leaders had a heated discussion with me. That's why he thought, if they are going to treat Mr. Pawar like this, I don't know how we will be able to work tomorrow.
So are you saying that is what led him to go with the BJP?
He left the meeting, and in fact that night, he had a meeting with Mr. Devendra Fadnavis, and then whatever the drama which we have seen, that happened.
And you had no idea of that at all?
Not at all. But it's one thing I have to say. Ki there was suggestion from some of the BJP leaders that we should try to keep dialogue. We may not work together, but in politics there has to be dialogue. So that dialogue was kept between Mr. Ajit Pawar and Mr. Devendra Fadnavis.
That dialogue was also going on parallel to
Dialogue
these conversations.
just thinking, nothing definite for further than others. And that type of talk was very much there.
That you were aware of. You were aware that Ajit Pawar and Fadnavis were talking, but you didn't. You're saying you had no idea when he actually went off and got sworn in with him.
Not only me, but not a single my colleague was aware. This will happen. He will go to that extent.
But Pawar Sahab, you must have heard the theories that everyone believed that it could not have happened without your knowledge or your blessing.
That anybody can say, but that is absolutely wrong assessment, wrong information. In fact, when I got up in early morning, I was told, and I saw on television at 6:30 or 7, there's something happening. I was really shocked. So I immediately got ready because I saw there are 8 or 10 MLAs were also present in Raj Bhavan. And most of them were quite close to me. And they were there because they were under the impression that whatever is happening with my blessing. And that's why they had, when they got a message to come there, so they came there and they attended that ceremony. But when they saw Mr. Devendra Fadnavis is there and only Mr. Ajit Pawar is there is no other NCP leader, then they started realizing, some of them ran away from there, straightway came to my house, briefed me what happened, and then I immediately cancelled all my programs and took the control of the situation. Practically, after afternoon,
most of them had come back to the NCP.
Exactly, they came back, and
Pawar Sahab, you know, the fact is that when you say that some of them were confused about whether you were part of that process or not, you are though saying that while you were negotiating with the Sena and the Congress, Ajit Pawar and Devendra Fadnavis were also in touch. As you said, in politics, people are talking. But at the same time, there were also your discussions with the Prime Minister. You referred to this in your interview that you also gave to ABP Maja, that the Prime Minister or the BJP was also making direct overtures to you.
See, my equation with Prime Minister is very good. I met him in connection of some of the international sugarcane conference. So after that we had some chat. But nothing that generally thinking was that we are, on many occasions we sit, we discuss, we work together. Prior to this also, he attended one of the international sugarcane conference which was organized by us in Pune about 2 years back. So in that connection, there was a further similar conference and I met him. So there was some talk, why not cooperate each other and work each other.
So in other words, he was saying, why not support us and then the NCP and the BJP can come together?
Something like that, not exactly that, but I said ideologically it is difficult. I said for national interest, I will definitely associate support. There is no question, I don't bring politics there. And he was also aware.
But you felt that ideologically, you were not willing to ally.
I have party, I have small party. We have alliance with Congress. So question doesn't arise to break that.
But you also gave a sense of the fact that there was a concrete offer on the table, that the suggestion was that Supriya Sule, your daughter, would be made minister.
That was since the last 5 years. There's some of some of the BJP leaders on many occasions when we were chit-chatting, they will always suggest that she is a good person, she is a competent parliamentarian, she should join in process of decision making, and she should associate with us on government, like that. But this is general suggestion.
The Prime Minister didn't mention that in your meeting?
He did mention about her performance.
Was the agriculture portfolio specifically mentioned?
That is all absolutely false information. The Prime Minister never suggested for any portfolio or anything.
But he did mention her performance.
He said she is doing a good job in Parliament.
And Pawar Sahab, was any offer made to you? Because there was talk that the post of president was on the table.
Absolutely wrong, false news. I don't know who is spreading this. There was no talk. There is nobody from BJP has suggested. And question of suggestion from Prime Minister, total lie, never said.
Never came up.
Never.
But Pawar Sahab, when you told the Prime Minister that ideologically it's difficult for you to break and go with the BJP.
No break. It's not possible for us to work.
Okay, but explain to me why. Because at the end of the day, you're going with the Shiv Sena is also crossing a similar ideological divide. They are also the party of Hindutva. So why the Sena as opposed to the BJP?
That I don't know. But for us, between Sena, it was not that difficult to work with Sena.
I see. As compared to the BJP.
Exactly.
But what
issue is their thinking, they never hide. But that Hindutva will not come in process of administration. Running the government, running administration, Hindutva doesn't come in picture. There is a minimum common program, which was prepared by three, Congress, NCP and Shiv Sena. And that is the base for running government.
Okay, so the Prime Minister had this conversation with you, and so is it correct to say, as we understood from your earlier interview, that you politely refused the offer?
No, it's not question of, basically, that was not the route where we can walk.
That wasn't the route where you could walk. But anyway, you had this whole experience with Ajit Pawar, where he then went away, you discovered it, you say you were shocked, the MLAs came back to you. But then Ajit Pawar himself, when you first met him, the first time you had a chance to talk to him after this, what did you say to him?
He came back, he said that because discussion between us and Congress was going, he was not very happy. He was totally unhappy. In that connection, ultimately, he took that extreme decision. But he realized that is not the correct decision. That's why he came back early morning, next day only, and saw me. And then he just withdrew from all this thing.
But how did you see his act of, in a sense, betrayal? Did you think that what he did was wrong?
Of course, his decision was not, nobody was happy in my party.
Or the family, because he's after all also a family.
My family doesn't come in politics. Family is a separate thing. We are one in the family, but in politics something different. And my rank and file in my party was not happy with this, which he also realized, and that's why he accepted that this was not correct way.
But it appears that despite what he's done, he has been welcomed back, and there is talk that he may also end up with a very strong portfolio in the government.
Portfolio, these things, you see, when we took decision to form government, we have given clear-cut indication, we sent a signal. We have selected our state party chief to lead our party in the cabinet. Mr. Jain Patil and Chagan Bhujbal. That itself was an indication.
I see. The fact that that Ajit Pawar was not sworn in the first round, you're saying is an indication of the wrong that he had committed.
Ajit Pawar was the leader of the legislative Nationalist Congress Party.
Right. But he was not sworn in the first round. But he may still end up as Deputy Chief Minister.
No, that I can't say now.
Okay.
Basically, we took decision not to take any decision on this. Probably, of course, we had to discuss with Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, and our suggestion the formation of government should not be immediate. Let's wait, let's see their Nagpur session, and then we can think after the Nagpur session.
But you're not ruling out the possibility that Ajit Pawar may end up as Deputy Chief Minister.
I can't say that. I can't say that. I have to discuss with all my colleagues.
Okay.
And these type of decisions are not taken by any individual. It has to be discussed
In a collective sense.
among some of the senior colleagues. And one thing is very much there in the Nationalist Congress Party, and particularly the Legislative Party, sizable members do associate closely with him. They were not happy with his decision to go with BJP, but they have full respect with him.
I see. So you're saying Ajit Pawar still has sizable support within the MLAs.
Exactly.
Is that almost a concern for you that you have to give him a good position, otherwise he may walk out again?
I don't think it's correct. Question doesn't arise for walkout, or question doesn't arise of only expecting good position.
No, you're saying that there's no risk that Ajit Pawar may not again go behind your back and walk out?
No.
Why? What gives you that confidence?
He realized that what he has taken decision was not correct decision.
Pawar sir, but let me ask you this, that, when you say that at the end of the day, the Shiv Sena is a party that doesn't hide its Hindutva and it also doesn't bring it into governance, the fact is that the views perhaps may change now, but all this while, they have very strong views on everything that you and the Congress have strongly opposed. They openly support their role in the demolition of the Babri Masjid. They openly acknowledge their role in the Mumbai riots.
That is not coming now. This government and Babri Masjid has no any relations. These are, you see, when you run the coalition government, on many occasions, your own thinking ideology also sometimes you have to keep away to run the government. I recollect when Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee formed government. In his first government, even a person like George Fadnavis, Mamata Banerjee, and they were also members. And in that time, I recollect Mr. Vajpayee has said, that certain thinking of the BJP, we are keeping out. Okay. We are just running government with minimum common agreed program. So similar way, here also our approach is same. Yes, Congress has certain views, NCP has certain views, we are nearer, but Shiv Sena has certain views on certain issues. These issues and these views doesn't come in the process of running government.
But what happens then to ideology? What happens to your claims of being a secular party?
No, you see, here the question doesn't arise. The minimum common program, the first paragraph says, whatever the Indian Constitution has said, if you see the first 5 sentences of Indian Constitution, there this will be democratic, secular, socialist, वगैरह. So all these things, that is the base of minimum common program.
But what about Pawar Sahab, the very strong language and the criticism that the Sena has levelled against you and the Congress? They've said the NCP is the Nationalist Corruption Party.
That was yesterday, not today.
They've moved past all that?
At least they have decided to come with us when they must have decided.
But Pawar Sahab, is there also a concern about the cases, that when one looks at what happened, even with Ajit Pawar, a number of cases were brought against him. There were cases against you. Was that also a factor? Was that pressure?
I don't think there are any cases against him. Allegation is one thing and cases is one thing. There is no case against him.
In the irrigation scam, FIRs were registered?
No, the FIR are registered, but I don't see his name is very much there.
Okay, but you're saying that was not a factor at all in the decisions he took?
The question doesn't arise. Absolute question doesn't arise about it.
But Pawar Sahab, tell me, it seems that when it came to this entire formation of the government, the NCP was much more on board. The Congress seemed a little more reluctant and took more time to ease into things. You had several meetings with Sonia Gandhi. Only one meeting with Sonia?
Yeah.
And did it take a lot of persuasion?
No, we just explained what is the ground level situation. And this was not only my insistence, the state leaders of the Congress Party was also thinking similar way. And particularly, legislative Congress Party, MLAs, they were of view that for larger interests of the state, all these three parties has to come together, and they have to see that BJP has been kept out of power.
Congress MLAs were very strongly in favor of it.
Yeah.
But from what we were to understand, Sonia Gandhi wasn't.
I don't know, but ultimately she is the Congress president,
Right.
and she must have discussed with everybody, and she must have given consent.
Pawar Sahib, realistically, how long do you think this arrangement can hold?
5 years.
Full 5 years.
Of course,
Such an unusual coming together of parties?
They are elected for 5 years, and their commitment to the people of Maharashtra for 5 years.
But you say it with such confidence, but when it comes to the hard brass tacks of power sharing, even now, we don't know any portfolios, we don't know who's getting which ministry. Isn't that indicative of the fact that there are serious issues that need to be resolved?
No serious issues there. There is a perfect understanding, there is a discussion, there is a conscious decision when to act about the portfolio, about the formation of government, about the expansion of cabinet. There is a perfect understanding.
You've got a calendar, you're saying, by which all that will be rolled out.
That's right.
But from what we understand, the NCP is getting the lion's share of the portfolios. You're getting, I'm told, the home portfolio, deputy chief ministership is coming to you. Is that, could you confirm that?
I'm grateful for you. You are giving me this knowledge which I doesn't know.
That's what the talk is that you're saying that's not been settled yet?
This type of talk where there is no faces, that you can do that, but I cannot do that. I'm a responsible person. I'm a party chief, so I cannot follow what you say this.
Pawar Sahib, do you believe? Yes.
Without any basis not to make statements.
Okay. I will not speculate on anything which you say is still in the pipeline. But let me just ask you this, that do you feel that this was a risk you took, taking on Amit Shah and Narendra Modi?
I can't understand. We belong to different parties, they belong to different parties. We fought election. They fought the election. Their entire attack was on me in last campaign, whether Narendra Modi Sahib or BJP state president. In my hometown, they came and Mr. Amit Shah came and addressed a meeting and attacked me. And many, practically every meeting, their target was me. So I can understand they got every right. They are running different party. And they feel that this is a party, NCP and Congress, are very much against them.
So the fact that you managed to break away an ally of theirs and form a government, the fact that you managed to break away the Shiv Sena and form a government, you don't think that puts you in the direct line of fire?
No, how we come in picture? If the Shiv Sena has taken decision to associate with him.
Right. So you're saying, how does that make you responsible?
We are concerned with this.
Do you see, Pawar Sahib, as some do, that this, in a sense, political coup in Maharashtra, which you pulled off, has repercussions outside the state as well?
I don't know.
Across the country,
Outside.
this is giving some kind of fillip, or this is giving some kind of resurgence to the opposition, that they can actually take on the BJP.
At least what happened in Maharashtra, that was a decision taken by Maharashtra three-party leadership. It is a conscious decision. And I'm sure that this decision is welcomed by public at large in Maharashtra. And outside Maharashtra, I cannot say because I have no discussion with anybody. And definitely, people are talking that we hear it, but there is no direct discussion between me and any other political party leaders.
And my last question to you, how much of a role do you still see yourselves playing in ensuring that this coalition functions smoothly? Because in a sense, you do have that seniority, and they also all turn to you. I think even Uddhav Thackeray, correct me if I'm wrong, virtually was fine with you leading negotiations on his behalf. So how much of a role do you see yourself playing?
Our association in process of discussion is understand. But day-to-day activities, running government, is a complete prerogative of Mr. Uddhav Thackeray and his colleagues. There we are not supposed to interfere. And I don't want, I am the last person who wants to interfere in process of administration.
Okay. So you want to stay, you want to keep a distance, but I'm sure you'll keep an eye at least on what is going on in Maharashtra.
Definitely my party is part, and that's why I have to keep close eye on my party colleagues.
Particularly on your party colleagues. Pawar Sahab, thanks very much indeed for talking to us on NDTV. It's been absolutely fascinating. Thanks very much indeed, sir.